Public Safety, we'll call our Public Safety Committee meeting to order. Thanks everybody for being in attendance. Can I get a motion to approve our December minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that motion carries. In the packet, there are written reports, photo read, sit-lie, a public safety overtime report. This is new, so just to point that out. Strategic initiatives, Office of Police Ombudsman, and then there is also, this got accidentally put here as a discussion item, but we also have just kind of an overview of Shrek that's included as a PowerPoint, and I'm still hoping that we can get Shrek to a meeting to discuss a few of their operations and things like that. So that is still in the works.
So we're not going to talk about that on this?
There's no, it's not, it was really just a report for, yeah, it just got misplaced as discussion item. So, but we will kick it off with our fire department update from Chief Schaefer. All right.
Are we?
Perfect. Glad to have you.
Thank you. Chief Schaefer is out of town today, so I'm covering. Good afternoon. Good to see you all. It's a lovely Monday. A couple of good things. I'd like to start off with our staffing. I know we've talked over the last couple of years a lot about our staffing, and we're starting to see that stabilization through the support of council and city administration on getting some more folks hired, and we're getting there. It's pretty exciting. We have a group that has got just a couple more months of probation, and they'll be done and out, and we have a class that's starting on February 21st, a class of 24. They'll finish in July, so right around our max vacation time, and another one starts just a few days after these folks complete, and it'll be probably another group of 24. So some good things going on there and some excitement for us. We have been working with our internal IT and payroll or finance to work on an overtime report for us that's easier to read and that gives us kind of some heads up and alerts, and quite frankly, credit to the police department. They have one that we like, and so we're kind of taking their lead on that. So hopefully we'll have a little better idea earlier and more frequently on what we're doing. Let's see, apparatus. We had some exciting news. Our shop folks went back a few weeks ago to look at the new pre-build for our new apparatus, and they're actually in line now, and we're hoping that if all goes well, we'll have the 4 new engines that you all supported for us by late October, early November. So that'll be a nice boost to our fleet and get some reliability back into our response force. So pretty excited about that. SAFO contract. So some preliminary work is done. I believe I have the pleasure of an executive session with you next week to explain kind of where we're going with that before we take any further steps, so that you're aware of where that sits right now. And then finally, and I say finally, I would like to yield after this update the rest of my time to Fire Marshal Lance Dahl, because I think he has some very exciting things for you, and it might take a little longer than the 10 minutes that he was allotted. So finally, and it's a good segue, we're just getting prepared and starting our wildland season. We reenacted our wildland committee. Seems kind of silly to say on the 6th day of February, but it's anymore never too early, and quite frankly, there really isn't a wildland season anymore. It can happen any time, as we have seen. So we're gearing up for that, and we'll be full steam ahead here very shortly on preps and trainings and those kind of items. So any questions for me? I know that was quick, but I really am excited for Fire Marshal Dahl to come up and talk to you. And I think that's next. Is that correct?
Yes, that is next.
So just a quick question on your staffing with these classes. Where does that then put us? And have we had any update on retirements?
So we haven't had any updates on retirements. Again, that's something that our folks seem to keep close to their chest, and we still have a few people that come in and say, hey, this has been a great time, but I'm leaving tomorrow. So we are working on that. We're working on a survey that we can send out that's not obligatory, so we're not going to hold it against anybody, and I think there's a fear if they become unimportant, especially in leadership positions, if they know. So we're working through that. Currently, we're at about right around 280 line crew members, and we need about 276 to do our job appropriately, staffed appropriately and safely. But that doesn't take into consideration vacations and sick leave. And so with the next 2 classes and then the preparation for January 1st of 2024 with debit days going away, these next 2 classes will get us in a good place. And I believe on Thursday you'll have a discussion with a consultant that we hired to do kind of a staffing study that gets us kind of that optimum level. And it's going to be fascinating, and it's good stuff. And our current schedule of classes will get us to where we need to be.
Perfect, thank you.
In the class, did our unvaccinated firefighters who are coming back, did they have to go through the class again?
We put them through, Chief Strickland, how long was that? 2 week? We put them back through a 2-week academy. They're out on the line.
Okay.
Yeah, they have been.
Okay, cool. And then with your fleet, adding the 4 new engines, the pumpers, are we going to be decommissioning any, or are those just to add to the fleet to help them?
They're going to add, I can get the answer to that. We do have some older ones that as you've heard a few times, that are very much due to retire. I'm not sure what Chief Stockdale's plan is with the current fleet, so we can get that information to you.
Okay.
All right, with that, can I
Turn over to
introduce
Lance.
Fire Marshal Lance Dahl? Can you come
Yeah.
up? And with him, he's going to bring a new member of our team, and I'll let him do the introductions for that. Thank you.
Thanks for giving us a few minutes today. Those of you that haven't met me before, Lance Dahl, I'm your city's fire marshal, and I run the Fire Prevention Division. It's been really exciting that Chief Schaefer and us had that discussion a year ago to bring on a wildland urban interface planner. Hardening the city and being a resilient city that we can help mitigate and build correctly in those wildland urban interface areas is going to be critical in the future. Just a couple stats for you. 50% of the city's population is directly or indirectly exposed to the wildfire risk, and populated areas in Spokane have on average a greater risk than 72% of the other communities in Washington State, and those are from a study done by the Department of Natural Resources. This is Nick Jeffries. This is who we kindly stole from Department of Natural Resources, and he's got a quick slideshow for you on some stuff that we're doing. So,
We got slides coming up, Lance?
Oh, is there?
did you have those?
They were not sent to me. I'm not sure.
They were sent to the committee.
We have a thumb drive backed up.
Are
Can we-
they?
can we
Is
plug it
it
in?
either one of these?
It's in the packet? Okay.
Well, I don't have. Give me a minute.
No problem. If not,
We have a thumb drive copy if we need it.
the only thing on the thumb drive too. If there's a
Yeah, if there's a computer down below that other microphone, you can just plug it in there.
Okay, well, I can start talking a little bit. My name's Nick Jeffries. I came from the Washington Department of Natural Resources. Some of my history is I got a associate's degree from SEC. I was in the Marine
I've got
Corps.
it, Lance.
And then I went to Gonzaga and got a bachelor's in environmental studies. I came out of college working for the Department of Natural Resources, and I've been there the last 10 years. I ran hand crews doing wildfire for the DNR. I fought fire in college, and then my last 6 years were in service forestry. So basically the last 15 years I fought wildfire, and I've worked directly in forest health and wildfire fuels mitigation for the Department of Natural Resources. What is fuels reduction? I feel like we get that question a lot. You know, we're not logging the forest necessarily, we're thinning. A lot of times this comes to be 8 inches diameter, breast height trees and smaller. We're pruning up 10 feet and we're chipping or masticating any slash. And what that does is it reduces the ladder fuel, the fire's ability to climb the trees, and it basically reduces the fire's intensity. So if there is a fire and when there's a fire, right? It's not if, it's when. It's going to be a reduced intensity fire. We are not burning in Spokane County for slash mitigation, and there's a lot of reasons for that, but a lot of what we're going to do is mechanized.
This kind of shows the pre-treatment, post-treatment.
This is
We need you to get
Yeah, can you use
to
the
a
mic?
mic.
Yeah, this is showing pre, post, and then post 6 months, and this is a masticated unit. It's a masticator. Basically, it's a skid steer with a drum on the front that just chews everything up. And so they go in, they reduce the fuel loads, and then you have a reduced fuel load. If there was a fire, then you have defensible space, right? So when your fire teams deploy, if there was a fire, they'd actually have an ability to fight the fire rather than a lot of this unmanaged, untended to fuel. So these hand crews, we've currently got a hand crew working, and we're going to talk about that in a second, but we got a hand crew feeding a chipper. We got an actual excavator feeding a chipper, a Mini X, and then we got a masticator on the bottom. And those are drum versus the excavator type. And basically, they just drive through the forest mulching like a giant weed whacker. And it breaks that fuel down. And there's a few components to this. There's the forest health component and there's the wildfire component, right? So we want a healthy forest because we thin our trees. We want a reduced fuel load because we thin our trees. And by breaking down that biomass, it basically puts nutrients back into the soil and it's good for the forest. And it decreases the fire intensities, right? The cost share program, we're just going to slightly touch on this, and the reason it's important is because we don't want to take away from anything that the DNR is doing. The Washington DNR has a cost share program, and it's a 50% cost share. Basically, it either offsets the cost of a contractor or it pays a landowner to thin on their own property. This is a very prevalent program in Spokane County. This is the program that I came from, so I'm very knowledgeable on it. But we don't want to take away from that. If anything, we want to build on that and say, what are they doing? What can we do different? What can we do that's adjacent to them? Yes, please.
So my question is, do you supervise this crew or are you in partnership? So who supervises this crew that does this work? Who are
Well,
these people?
Good question. There's a lot of moving parts right now. We're going to talk about some of the crew work that I'm doing specifically here in a minute. This cost share program is supervised by the Washington DNR. And they either pay contractors or pay landowners to thin on their own private properties. So me as Joe Smo could have 5 acres just adjacent to the valley and have my fuels mitigated. Us as a department, that's not the direction we're going yet. Our goal is to mitigate some ground that we have that's owned by the city, and we're going to talk about that here in a second.
Thank you.
To tie in the last part of the cost share part, they have a very prevalent program and they're spending millions of dollars on the ground treating property all over Spokane County. And we have maps that shows layers of shotgun blasts of fuels that have been mitigated. So this is not, we're not recreating the wheel. Like, this is a known process that works. So we're just taking it and we're expanding upon it. So of the 11,400 acres owned by the city of Spokane, Spokane Fire Department estimates that there's 3,000 acres that need to be treated now with a 10 to 15-year maintenance plan to keep it fire resistant. This is not counting the thousands of acres outside of our ownership, and we're going to talk about those in a second. But what does that mean? 3,000 acres that needs to be treated. So your forest that is natural is without wildfire, is without thinning, and it was logged hard over the last 50 years. And so what is that left with? It's left with an unhealthy, typically, an unhealthy, overstocked forest. So when I grew up in Spokane looking at forests, and what I thought was healthy is not necessarily healthy, right? Just because it grows that way doesn't make it natural. So what we want to do is put some mitigation back into the forest and put some resiliency into our forest so that we have that forest health aspect from insect and we have that resilience from wildfire. So we applied for a community wildfire defense grant. This grant is $160 million times 5 years, and it's a federal grant. Okay, it sounds like the chief had asked for permission, I believe, and you guys were aware that we put in for $1.5 million for this federal grant. The goal of this is for us to put on-the-ground work into fuels mitigation here in Spokane County, and the majority of that work is going to be focused on City of Spokane property first. We got a $50,000 match from Spokane City Parks through the Conservation Futures Program, and the grant requires a 25% match. And so we are going to do an in-kind match of cash for this grant that we wrote. And so $50,000 comes from Conservation Future. There happens to be their wildland planner over at Avista is an old DNR employee, so we made some connections with Avista, and they gave $25,000 for 5 years, totaling $125,000. And so this is where I'm going to let Lance speak into the microphone for a second, but basically the idea would be that we're going to need another $200,000 to match this for the next 5 years, and that's going to accomplish at least 1,000 acres of fuels mitigated on the ground. And to answer the question that was asked earlier, At this point, it will be me supervising the work getting done on the ground.
In conjunction with the urban forester, right? So we'll be working with the urban forestry. We've been working with the urban forestry already. We'll show you some of the work that's already been done. So the urban forester and the city arborist. So they work with Nick to ensure that the work that's getting done is done properly and by their expectations as a city arborist. We'll probably be coming, if the grant comes through, we thought we'd hear in January, but it's been pushed back at the federal level a few weeks. Once we hear that, I'm sure Chief Schaefer and us will be coming back to you for an SBO to figure out how we do that over the next 5 years.
So do you guys have an identified source for the 200?
For which?
For the 200,000?
No, we don't.
Okay.
Now, as we build other partnerships, Vista said as money comes through with them, they might be able to up their $125,000 commitment. Be aware, most of the work that we're doing, most of that 3,000 acres is parks money, is parks ground. So it's unimproved ground that is in the parks and urban forest system. So we're going to have to try to figure it out as a city on how we responsibly mitigate that across the city ground.
You know, and given that our parks have a, dedicated revenue fund, I wonder if it'd be more appropriate to come out of there, or at least partially so, but that's.
Yep, that's discussion for future when we start asking on how we're gonna fund the grant, so.
And when you say most, you were telling me it's about 80% of that land is parks land, is that correct?
Yes, it's unimproved
Yeah.
land that is under parks. And I've got a breakdown. When we come back for an SBO down the road, I can show you how it's broken down. But in some of the work that Nick's going to talk about now, where we've worked on wastewater ground and water department ground, they've already given us some funds to rent chippers and masticators and that type of stuff to help get the free work done that Nick's been able to do.
Okay. Is there anything left in the presentation?
Yeah,
okay.
there's like a couple more slides here, and then we can go for questions. So currently, work that we're getting done, 17 acres in Austin Ravine. So this is a watershed, and it's been a highly publicly known piece that needed mitigation because it's really been just kind of a mess, and you got thousands of homes all around it. And so I used the Washington Post release crew. So I used some of my friendships that I made at the DNR, and basically they loaned us a crew for the next 30 to 90 days. We're not sure exactly when, but basically they go in and they hand thin, and you can see that here. So you can see all the piles and stuff. And then we rented a tracked chipper, and we are currently chipping that unit by hand. So a tracked chipper is a chipper literally on tracks going through the forest. The other units that we have cut, we have Excel Lane, which is a water department unit adjacent to a bunch of homes. In conjunction with the Department of Natural Resources cost share program is doing a unit on a private HOA. And Excelsior School down below, this is all Indian Trail, is doing another unit below that. And so that's Department of Natural Resources cost share program conjoining us with a unit that's going to be in conjunction. And then we have at least 75 acres starting in Indian Canyon. There's actually like 500 acres out there, but the actual golf course itself, we're working on mitigation of fuels around it. Okay, we're going to talk about Indian Canyon one more time in a second, but we're actually thinning the forest for forest health and for wildfire around the golf course. And you might ask why, because there's homes all adjacent, and we have fires there every year.
Can I have a quick question?
Please.
What do you do with the materials that go into the chipper?
Good question. It gets broadcasted back out into the forest, and it naturally decomposes into the forest.
Great, okay.
So it's not always a perfect scenario because there's so much biomass sometimes, but it's better than the alternative. And so
Right.
for your longevity, very few units cause issues. It doesn't burn well either, so.
And you had talked about forest health and how this is good for forest health. So, for example, at Downriver Golf Course, we have hundreds of trees that are infested with pine beetles, right? And so can you share how
Correct.
Insects even, this will help us to mitigate and have actually healthier forests?
Thank you very much for that. So it was brought to my attention that we had a forest health issue when I came aboard with Spokane City here. I came in August. We got the entomologist involved, which is a friend of mine that worked for the DNR. We went out on site, and we looked at what we had going on. You got western pine beetle, Ips beetle, and they don't think there's any mountain. But basically, the idea is that a healthy forest is going to be more resilient from insect attack. By thinning the trees, you're giving the trees more water and sun and nutrient to be resistant from the insects. And so long-term, from a forest health aspect, you need to thin your forest. Otherwise, you're going to end up with these forest health issues. The issue at downriver was a significant one enough that I told them, and Melissa told them, that it would behoove them to do something about this aggressively. And that's why we ended up spending all this money to get this done. On the same note, I feel bad for them, and I used some of my connections, and I think that we're going to be able to accomplish a very similar activity at Indian Canyon Golf Course. There's 46 trees that are dead or dying. We identified them. I brought the DNR out. I got some permissions from up above. I got permissions from the fire department and
Urban forestry.
urban forestry. We had, because they're the oversight on all the forested ground, and they gave us the go-ahead to work with some of their team, and we're currently putting together a production mode over the next couple weeks that's going to save the city upwards of $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 to do that tree mitigation ourselves. Please.
So does beetle kill occur because this work is not taking place? Will this help to prevent it from occurring in the future?
It will very much prevent it in your in your ground that is overly stocked right now. On the golf course, it is different. Part of the reason it's different is because we're watered, we're irrigated, and we're fertilized and all these other things. I think that part of the downriver issue was a change in the watering, and then we had these really bad years where we just had a lot of insect. So over the last 5 years, we've seen more insect kill than we ever had. And working all over Spokane County, we had some significant issues. So in order to put that into perspective, I guess, thinning your trees is going to make them more resilient, and we are going to have less issues as years progress. We don't know what the next 20 years is going to bring us. We don't know what the next 20 years of wildfire is going to bring us. The best thing we can do is be prepared and be resilient.
And explain chipping stuff and how that takes care of it.
So chipping, so beetles feed on anything. Beetles basically lay eggs, larvae, pupae. So they lay eggs in the stuff that's over 3 inches. And anything over 3 inches, if you were to cut down green pine and leave it on the ground, the beetles will actually propagate, and they'll go from there to your live standing trees. And so it is important to chip or masticate the material. So that's why we're talking so much about the chipping and masticating part, because that's part of the slash disposal from a forest health side. The other piece is getting rid of the logs. So like in the Downriver project, they're actually moving the logs and they're selling them to mills and they're selling them to chip, and we don't care, just get them off the property. Because the idea is that the beetles could come out of there and out of dormancy and hibernation, and they could go from there to your live standing trees.
Okay, very good. Questions? And we just got a couple minutes left. We have to move on.
So home ignition zone. So basically, as time progresses, we're going to be looking at more of the in-depth on HIZ, home ignition zone against people's houses, what they can do to better prepare themselves from wildfire. I created a form when I was at DNR, and basically it's a home risk assessment on what they can do to better prepare themselves from a wildfire. As Lance said, there's very many homes within Spokane County that don't have to be in the wildlands that are actually really at risk from fire because of ember showers. So home ignition zone focuses directly on ember showers. And we can talk more about that as time advances. So,
You had a question,
Yeah,
Laura?
I have a
Please.
couple. Thanks for all this information. I spent a lot of time getting a horticulture degree, so
Okay.
a lot of this rings very true. And we continue to have ponderosa pine in areas that are irrigated, which causes
Yes.
them to be not as
resilient.
resilient as thank you, as they should be. 2 things. One, we started a goat program 2 years ago. It works where people can't go, and I'm hoping that we'll continue that. It's the goats they do a good job. They're their own machine in that they're eating the stuff and then they're pooping it out the other end, so they're fertilizing the forest. The other thing is it's a great interaction between the neighborhoods, and the neighborhoods knowing that we take this wildfire and wildland security very seriously. The other piece is I would like to identify where we intersect with the county, so perhaps there's some opportunity for partnering and the county throwing in some money as well on this program, and where we intersect with private property owners who aren't really being responsible. And we have some areas in Grandview, Eagle Ridge, where they're out-of-state, out-of-country property owners own land, not maintaining it, and are putting the homeowners in the area at risk. So 2 prongs. We need to identify some other partners who are actually going to take responsibility for what's going on.
Good, thank you. And I can answer to the first one, and Lance can answer to the second one. So real quick on the first one, we have lots of partners, and I think you're going to be very impressed that I have a lot of connections throughout the city, just from over the years of the work. So Spokane County, BNSF, state parks, all of these I've formed relationships with, and we already are in tune, and we're going to be doing fuels mitigation. So like we're going to do a joint conjunction project with Fire District 10, state parks, and the city all in Palisades while working on multiple levels of ground, all for mitigation purposes. Because if you do yours, that's cool, but if your neighbors isn't doing his, that's an issue, right? And so that's where Lance is going to come in and have a conversation.
Part of what the council did in '21 by adopting the full version of the Wildland Urban Interface Code is giving me the tools to actually put pressure on folks that don't want to spend the money. Nick's already been to 2 or 3 meetings at Eagle Ridge, and they've committed $25,000 right now as part of their matching grant money down the road, and they're willing to come up with more. So long-term, as we've started to mitigate our own ground, and then we can be good neighbors to the people out in the city, hopefully we'll have grant opportunities down the road that we can take some of that grant, use it in the 50-50 cost share environment like DNR does, and help that surrounding anything that touches city ground.
So what does that do with the goats, though? Do we still
So the
utilize
goats
that
are still being
program?
used, correct?
Okay.
And the goats are only going to use fine fuels and brush. And so typically, like in this fuel model that we're looking at a different fuel model. And so the goats are still going to be used in those especially those high traffic, high publicity areas that we can mitigate some fuel. They're going to go in and do that. But what we're talking, and I should show you a picture of the difference next time I come in, I'll bring it to show you, like, it's literally a wall of trees. It's an unusable piece of ground at this point. And so we're going to go in and we're going to mitigate it, and we're going to make it park-like-ish, because that's what the natural state used to be. Fire used to, come through every, 7 to 15 years on prior to us being here, putting civilization here. Do I have any other questions?
There's nothing else. We do need to move on. So
Okay,
thank
thank
you
you.
guys very much for
very
the
much.
presentation. That was great. Chief Meidel. And are you sticking around for the response times, or are we turning that over to Shauna?
We will turn that over to Shauna. We were asked to give a brief overview on our Violent Crimes Task Force. I thought it would be exciting to have Lieutenant Booth do that presentation. He does oversee the Violent Crimes Task Force. He can go over some of the successes, the mission, and what's the day in the life of a Violent Crimes Task Force detective or officer. And then if we do have time, council members' opponent asked for an overview, 30,000-foot level of the Lewis and Clark response as well. So with that, I will turn it over to Lieutenant Booth.
Welcome.
Thank you all. So with the Violent Crimes Task Force, once it became operational, during it, one of the first things that was done is we created the mission statement for the task force, just to make sure it always stayed where it was going, that we limited any kind of mission drift. So the Violent Crime Task Force is committed to providing excellence in policing by conducting proactive missions and intelligence-based investigations to identify, deter, and incarcerate violent criminal offenders. And as it became operational last June, we've seen it's developed essentially a two-pronged crime strategy in response and in investigations. The responsiveness comes from units within the departments where they call for calls for service that come in where violent criminal suspect or violent incident occurs, and then the Violent Crimes Task Force will then respond. So an example, shortly after becoming operational in June, the Violent Crime Task Force was assisting major crimes and the Safe Streets Task Force with apprehending a suspect wanted for a first-degree assault as a result of a drive-by shooting. They assisted in the takedown of that vehicle. The primary target was arrested, a female who was also identified and arrested on a felony warrant, and then she was found to be armed with a .22 caliber handgun in that incident. 2 days later, while assisting patrol on a focus enforcement in northeast Spokane, the task force was on scene when a drive-by shooting actually occurred. The task force stopped the vehicle, arrested the occupants. During the search warrant on the vehicle, they recovered a handgun, $3,000 in cash, and a number of fake OxyContin pills that were the fentanyl laced, and a substantial amount of methamphetamine. July 8th, the Violent Crimes Task Force was asked by the Major Crimes Unit to locate a male wanted for second-degree murder. That male was taken into custody the same day. The investigations comes from them taking up investigations developed from investigatory sources, from patrol, or self-initiated activities that they've began on from their own investigations. The task force has attempted to apprehend a high-profile subject who had also served while attempting to locate him, they found his vehicle. They served a warrant on the vehicle. The search warrant on that one yielded 3 handguns, one of which was stolen, a pistol grip shotgun, $1,600 cash, fentanyl-laced fake Oxycontin pills, steroids, and methamphetamines. An arrest warrant was generated. The search warrant on the subject, an arrest warrant was generated. We found the subject. He was located, and we found a stolen handgun on his person as well. A recent open source media investigation started by the Violent Crimes Task Force and one of our patrol officers began back in June, and it concluded on January 6th. The task force arrested 2 males for 3 counts of first-degree unlawful possession of a firearm, possession of a controlled substance with intent to distribute, second-degree theft, money laundering, forgery, and leading organized crime. As a result of that warrant, the investigation seized 251 grams of cocaine that was still in the brick form, ammunition, $15,000 in cash, 4 vehicles. Since becoming operational in June, the task force has taken into custody more than 45 individuals identified as violent offenders who are actively wanted for crimes ranging from drive-by shooting, first-degree assault, and homicide. The task force would seize approximately 5 pounds, 12 ounces of cocaine, over 10,000 fentanyl-laced pills, and just under a pound of methamphetamine, and just over 25 firearms. And I wrote that statement on Thursday, and on Friday, the task force started another investigation, assisting patrol. A subsequent search warrant on that, they yielded 2.5 pounds of methamphetamine, another 7,000 fentanyl pills, and 2 rifles and a handgun. Once again, through all these numbers, we're seeing the relationship between violence and drugs is like bone and marrow. That those engaging in the high levels of violence, generally speaking, are also engaged in the use of the promotion of narcotics. We're seeing that same relation in some of our high, the levels of retail theft and the audacity within all that. So the Spokane Police Department, in all of its forms, is committed to providing excellence in policing, enhancing the safety and security of individuals, and building partnerships that better the lives of our community members as a whole through their professionalism, compassion, and integrity. Any questions on the task force? You shot your hand up first, ma'am. Go ahead.
Oh, I beat you.
Quicker on the draw.
So just clarity, I thought under the new community policing model that we had kind of disbanded all of our special task force to put those officers back in the street. Is this a separate type of unit, or did I misunderstand when that was presented?
This was our. Sure, go ahead.
Good question. So when we went to our new patrol configuration, we did have to pull back some of the officers assigned to these outline units. We did not pull back all of them. And the Violent Crimes Task Force is something that the mayor and I discussed last year. So based on the level of violence we're seeing in the community, we felt it was important to make sure that this unit stayed intact and that they're not tied to the radio. So one of the things we find is that officers will get dispatched to these calls after they occur. We also need a unit that's proactive, but also has significant supervision. So when you look at this unit, there are 5 full-time employees assigned to the unit plus 2 sergeants. Did I get that? So we have extensive supervision over this unit as well, but our intent is to try to go after those folks that are creating significant violent crime within the community, and it tends to be repeat offenders as well.
So what you're describing sounds to me like we have a gang problem. And I meet with some of the patrol on occasion, and they confirmed that we do have an increase in gangs that are migrating to our area from California. So I'm wondering what we are doing to mitigate that, to identify and mitigate that, because it seems like it's increased just in the last 2 to 3 years during COVID. And your story about going to a funeral and not recognizing any single person there confirmed what I think I'm saying. So could you address that?
So the Violent Crimes Task Force and the investigative unit work hand in hand with our Safe Streets Task Force, which is a federal entity that works with, is essentially the gang unit. So the number of gang entities in Spokane is closely monitored and tracked and investigated. But the level of violence isn't just within the gang unit, within people identified as gang members. We're seeing levels of violence throughout different levels of Spokane. So, but within the gang unit itself, yeah, we have the Safe Streets Task Force works in conjunction with the Violent Crimes Task Force to identify and maintain investigations on the gang members, if that answers your question.
It does, but I guess I'm concerned that it appears from what I'm hearing is people are migrating north because they think that this is a safe space to commit crimes and sell drugs and be part of a gang. So this goes back to a lot of what's happening at the state level, but I wonder if we're doing anything specifically to address folks who are coming here to do bad things.
Well, there's a number of factors in that, and I wouldn't say it's just north. I'd say Spokane being that corridor between people coming from the coast and being us along the I-90 corridor. Things are coming in that way, as well as coming in from people coming northbound from different areas. Washington State has relaxed drug laws, and so that certainly doesn't stop it. We're seeing a large number. If you look at like our fentanyl problem, when I came into the drug unit 2 years ago, if we were to buy 50 pills, it was a really, really big deal, and we were paying on average between $8 to $10 for one single pill. Now we're buying routinely. We can go purchase today several thousand for under $2 a pill.
Okay.
And so it's being we're being flooded in, and it's coming from a number of sources, and it's not just one linear source from coming up from a southerly state, for
California,
example.
we always like to bash California, so I thought I'd just mention that.
Yes,
Good.
sir.
Yeah, and I'd love to have the Safe Streets Task Force come and present too, maybe next month, and talk about what they're doing. But
Absolutely.
of the 45 individuals you said that you took off the streets, I'm just wondering two questions. One, how many of them are still behind bars? And two, what's sort of the average age or that median age of the folks that you're seeing as committing a lot of these issues? Is there? Or
I could
is there?
shoot from the hip, but I will absolutely get you that information. We can have that. We developed a Power BI that generates certain scores for certain crimes and then lays those against, and then that's what generates our numbers. So, but I could find out those numbers for you.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And especially the number of folks who are still behind bars that you guys took off the streets would be
Absolutely.
great to know.
Oh,
Go ahead.
I was just
Sure.
going to, what's the difference between this task force and the PAC team that was disbanded not too long ago?
When we looked at what were either the real or perceived issues within the PAC team, and then we wanted to mitigate those for the future. One of which was supervision, in that on the PAC teams there was one sergeant and 4 members on each one. And here we thought, well, when we began the creation of this, that was our number one goal, which is why we put 2 sergeants over the 5 members assigned. And so we wanted to make sure that there was, and then we limited the time span. So going into it, it wasn't going to be a career field for anybody, that they went in, there's a rotation period listed for the sergeants, and there's a rotation period listed for the officers, so to make sure that there's never a drift between their norms and values in the department.
So it's not really a new thing, but it's making the old thing better? Is that,
Yeah, you see what was working, and you try and grab that, and then we say, what could we do better on this, and what was either real or perceived, and yeah, let's double down and still, because as the chief said, there still is that need to go out and be very active against some of the criminal element.
thanks.
Go ahead.
I was just going to quickly say, when you get that data, could you send it to all of us on the
100%.
council?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Be great. Any further?
No.
Anything else? Okay. Well, why don't we then go to our, let's see, public safety response times discussion? Or actually, you had some additional info on the LC. Do you want to just share that real quick, and then we can move on to the?
It's totally up to you, Chairman Cathcart.
Yep, let's go ahead and do that. I don't want to miss that, so.
Okay, I'm happy to cover that today. As you all know, on December 9th, we had what ended up being a hoax call that came in to our dispatch center saying there was an active shooter at Lewis and Clark High School, which spawned a huge response of 6 to 8 law enforcement agencies, medical personnel, the fire departments, AMR, we had STA there, and school district personnel also arrived on scene. We were there and inside the buildings within 90 seconds as an agency, which we're proud of. That's a successful response to an incident like that. We also, as we were working through this incident, clearing the school to make sure that there wasn't a threat, we were informed that there was a similar call that had happened earlier in Montana. And then as we were nearing the end of our incident response, we learned that there was another call that happened in the Tri-Cities. So we believe that all three of these hoax calls were related. Our patrol resources at the time, we had two lieutenants, Lieutenant Meyer and Lieutenant Spearing, who handled the interior and exterior, did a fantastic job. Major Olson and I were down on scene as well. So thankful that it was a hoax call. We had the opportunity to meet with district staff many times leading up to this incident, as we had the good fortune to work with the administration on just these types of issues, as well as any other types of safety issues, and the fire department's participating in those conversations as well, just to enhance student and staff's safety at schools. And I think that those meetings were very beneficial when we had this incident. And then we were able to debrief with staff and students on one occasion, and then we had an evening meeting with parents, staff, and students, and just shared information, took questions, and had some clarity around the response. And I'd be happy to answer any questions anybody might have.
Questions from anyone? Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for that. And I know a lot of people in the community are super thankful for the quick response, and lots of praise for that. I think that was a great practice for an unplanned practice, and a lot of people had that. I was wondering if you could talk about, since it was a real life practice, kind of what lessons came from that, things that we could do to improve our response for our community, because a lot of people, had a lot of fear about it. So,
Sure. What I will say is that we are taking full advantage of this, and we're sharing information with the school district. We've identified areas where we think we will work together even better in the future. I will say that I was very happy, as was, in general terms, I would say that the district, the staff, the students that we have talked to, overwhelmingly were happy with the response. Happy with the way that the school district and SPD and the other agencies all work together. But yes, we're going to take every opportunity. I'm not going to talk about individual tactics, but we are identifying those areas that we can do even better next time.
anything, not specific tactics, but I know there's been a lot of concern about communication with the school in a response like that. Some from staff. I was in North Central when it happened. And if you could also speak to why there was a response to North Central, because
Absolutely.
there wasn't a call to North Central, I think that would help people
Absolutely.
in the community know. But I think there's just a lot of uncertainty, and I know there were a lot of tears. So a response like that causes a lot of fear just in the response itself, and I saw tears that day. So to kind of prevent, a hoax in the future, is there kind of things that we're doing to deal with that communication, I guess?
So, talking to the officers, we debriefed amongst ourselves that day. All the officers met over at the arena parking lot, and overwhelmingly, we have people with kids that were at that school in different schools. Anytime that there's an incident, the officers that were responding there had the same knots in their stomach that I'm sure that the staff had as people were arriving. And this has been talked about publicly, so I feel comfortable discussing this one element that was identified. When someone calls you for help and they're telling you what's going on, as the call receiver, you receive that information, and you think that they have that information already, that you don't call them back to tell them the same information. But if it's not them really calling, then they have no idea that call has been made, what the nature of the call was, or why the officers are responding. So we are going to institute callback into the location if we were to get a call like that in the future. As this unfolded so quickly and we had people there within 90 seconds, the staff was unaware that the call had been made. Officers were unaware that the staff didn't know about it. So yes, so we did identify that. We also had, it's all hands on deck. So everybody comes to the call the way that they are equipped, the way they're dressed, and it's all hands on deck to get and to help. So we had some officers who were working in an office environment who did not hear the call come out over the radio, and had somebody, yell through the office, "Hey, we've got an active shooter at Elsie." They heard NC, and so that's where they went. And so that's exactly what we want them to do. I don't know, communication is always the biggest thing to fix on any type of critical incident. And incidentally, we also had a very real, but it turned out not to be a threat, but we had a very real call of a man carrying a rifle right in the proximity of Rogers that we were also responded to all at the same time that the LC incident was still going on. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, that helps. Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah. And I might follow up with you more specifics later.
Sure.
Yeah, no, thank you very much for that. Is there any other questions related? No? Okay, well then we will, thank you very much. Move on. Shauna, we're talking safety response times. Is there a PowerPoint that you have?
Yeah, there is.
Okay.
Hi, so I wanted to start by talking about the methodology of pulling these numbers so that you'd understand exactly what we're doing when we pull call response times. Our system, we're still in the Tyler New World CAD system. It's really complicated. And so what Tyler stores is the most recent call type, and it's supposed to store the most recent priority, but a lot of times it doesn't. So we're working with the vendor to alleviate that issue. So it's very difficult to pull out statistics from this system. So what we've started doing is going through the call logs. So on every call for service, every action that's taken by an officer, a dispatcher, a call taker is entered as a record. So like lines in a spreadsheet. They can be hundreds of records long. This is an example where I am showing part of it. There's actually probably about 125 records in this particular example, but I didn't want to show things that were private. So you can see that the call came in 1642, and it came in as a medics call. So that was initially transferred over to the fire CAD, so that fire responded. And you could see that that fire unit was dispatched and arrived on scene. After fire evaluated the scene, they determined it's a DOA. And you could see further down the list that we updated the call type to a DOA and updated the priority. So you can look at the timestamps, and it looks like, this call came in at 1642. It was a DOA. That's how it's stored in our system. And it took almost an hour for officer to get there. But that's not really the case because we didn't know it was a DOA until midway through the call. So it took more like 28 minutes to get there, which is understandable for a DOA. We tend to have a slower response time than if there's an active threat. So just an example of the complexity in figuring out what's really the response time.
Shauna, what do we define specifically as the response time? Is it from the point that they're dispatched, or from the time the call is made? What do we define as that?
Yeah, so that's kind of what I'm getting to, is that we can't really start from the time the call comes in.
Right.
And if we start from the time that the officer's dispatched, then it's just the time it takes them to drive to the scene. So that's not really fair either. So we're trying to find this middle ground that makes the most sense. And so what I'm trying to do is pull based on the latest call type and priority code. So that's the point where the dispatcher fully understands what is going on scene and can assign an officer to it.
But in terms of measuring the response time, I think it's also important, though, and maybe this isn't your role, but I feel like it's also important that we know what that time is from when the call is placed to when what we're defining as the response time, because that delta there is an amount of time that obviously matters in terms of the response, but it also might be, it also might have to do with how Shrek or whomever that agency is that's handling the call deal with, how they are handling that call. Are they getting the information quick enough? Are they asking the right questions? Are they, there's just a lot of detail, I think, in that gap as well that's really informative for us.
Absolutely, and we have those numbers as well if you want to see them. Here's this second example gets to some of that further complexity. So in this case, this call occurred after the dispatch transition with Shrek. So Shrek is no longer assigning call types to our calls. They'll put SPD UNK for SPD unknown, and then transfer to an SPD dispatcher who determines the call type. In this particular case, it came in as SPD unknown. The caller hung up, and it took a little bit to get them back on the phone. So we changed it from unknown to trouble unknown, which is a little more specific. And then after we got the caller back on the phone, determined it was an argument. And we, at that point in time, from the time we determined what's actually going on to an officer on scene was only 4 minutes. But so that lead time on these calls, it's really difficult because you could have a call that started on Monday and got closed out, and then the caller calls back on Wednesday. So it can look like a huge length of time from the initial call to response. So that's why I started going for the, when do we have situational awareness?
Yeah, and I guess that would be really, important for like crime check, right? Because there's days sometimes that go by, and so are we defining days as the response, or is it some other parameter?
It would depend on what response time you're talking about, right? So if you're talking about how long does it take to get from the initial call to a crime check report, that would be a different response time than an officer on scene or a dispatcher.
Well, from when the report is filed with crime check to when the officer responds.
Yeah, that's different. Yeah, I did not pull that stat for this.
Okay. I think that'd be a statistic I'd be very interested in.
Sure, okay. So I pulled 3 months. I pulled January from 2021, January from 2022, and January from 2023 to compare those. And I did that on purpose so that you could see not quite a full month of our new precinct model. So we went with the new precinct model on the 8th. And this also shows in January 2023, this is when we started doing our own call types. So you can see the overall response time is still higher than we'd like it to be. It was, from 18 minutes on average in 2021 to 21.81 in 2023. So, but you can also see that since, in part due to the reconfiguration and having more officers on the street at any one time, we've dropped our priority 1 response time by almost a full minute, and we've dropped our priority 2 response time. So there's still work to do. You can also see that the call load has increased dramatically from 6,100 in 2021 to 6,800 this year. So there's a lot there too.
Would you be willing to give us an example of the different types of priority calls? So priority 1, this is happening. Priority 2, this is happening. Priority 3.
Sure. So priority 1 is where there's some sort of active threat. A burglary where someone's still inside the home. That would be a priority 1. A priority 2 is there's potential for a threat, but it's less obvious than a priority 1, like a person who's afraid of their boyfriend coming back in a domestic violence situation. That could be a priority 2. And then a priority 3 is going to be, I came home or I went to work this morning and the business was broken into, that kind of thing.
So, Shauna, is there any way to give us geographical response times? So is response times different in districts or certain parts of the city based on, coverage or just geographical constraints? Or
Sure.
Is there any way to mine that data?
Yeah, there is. Yeah, we can pull that out.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead.
So I think you said now, because I get confused about who's doing what at Shrek. So now Shrek responders, they answer the phone and then they transfer it to police.
Correct.
And how's that different than it was this time last year?
So this time last year, Shrek would answer the phone and ask what exactly is going on and get a description of the situation from the caller. And then they'd enter in the address and details about whether it's a domestic violence call or a burglary call or whatever's going on. And they would apply that call type and priority code. It would get moved to dispatch when it was ready for an officer response. So now, as of Jan 2nd, when they made the switch, Shrek answers the phone. They say, do you need police, fire, medical? If someone says they need police and they're located in the city of Spokane, that call's immediately transferred to SPD dispatch, and they do all that call triage to get the situational awareness that Shrek used to provide.
What are the staffing levels at SPD like from 2021 to 2023? Are they relatively similar? Have they gone up? Have they gone down?
So what are the staffing levels?
Yeah.
I would turn that over to the chief because I don't know the answer to that.
Councilmember Beagle, are you talking in dispatch or the department overall?
Just total staffing levels.
So 2021, we were authorized 356. It was 336, but because of the public safety levy, we were able to increase that to 20. So we're at the same numbers authorized now that we were in 2021.
Okay. And it looks as if our 911 calls have gone up roughly 11%. And we are still trying to operate and achieve a level of service as calls have gone up 11% in the last 2 years with the same number of officers.
Yeah, so our calls have gone up year over year. One of the things we did, because we all know officers don't grow on trees, when an officer leaves, it takes about a year to replace that officer, so it takes quite some time to fill every vacancy. And a year is about average. So what we did is we went to this different patrol configuration. We went from 4 shifts to 3. We pulled back a lot of these officers that were assigned outside patrol, all doing great work. Phenomenal work. Traffic, neighborhood resource officers. We pulled back a couple of the DV officers as well to offset the call load and the increase that we're seeing to try to keep and then drive those numbers down as well. So we're doing what we can with the resources we have.
So if our staffing levels had gone up with the level of calls, then we would be roughly adding 40 officers to keep up with the call load.
That would be pretty close to accurate, correct.
Okay.
Other question? Go ahead.
So this should be probably my last question. So how does this differ if I live in Spokane County and I call the sheriff's office? Is it the same? Are these calls handled the same? Is there like a uniform?
Not exactly. So the call for service itself, if you're in the county and you call Shrek, when you say you want police and you're identified as, a City of Spokane Valley resident, the Shrek call taker will stay on the call with you. And they'll do all of that triage and then either transfer you to dispatch, or some of them are cross-trained and they can dispatch it themselves. I think from the time that they have situational awareness, like what we're talking about here, I think the officer response is pretty similar, getting an officer on scene for those high priority calls.
Whether it's a sheriff in the county or a city police officer?
I think it's pretty similar.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Question about the number of calls coming in. So a person who calls has to identify if they want law enforcement, medical, or fire. Right?
Yep.
So do some people misidentify that and it gets sent to police, and then police have to defer it back to fire or medical?
Yes. It doesn't happen too frequently, but it does happen.
And do those numbers get captured in this? Like, are they already screened out if they were referred back to fire?
It would depend on the nature of the call. So I did not include calls that their final call type was fire or medics because they're really not SPD responses. So some of those would be removed.
Okay.
If it's something like a traffic collision with an injury, those would be included here if we have a joint response.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's helpful. I was just wondering if that was part of due to the increase in the number. But it sounds like they're mostly filtered out.
They are, yeah.
And then I was also wondering, are you able to look at, we heard some complaints from the community, and schools in particular were saying that we make calls and SPD doesn't come to the site. So is that something that you were able to look up as response times to schools in particular?
Yeah, we could do that as well. Yeah.
Is this something like this or similar that you could produce kind of monthly for our?
Yeah, I'd be happy to do that, and I can break it out by whatever geographic area you'd like.
That'd be great. Anything else? Seeing none?
We have one. So do we know what's going on with Crime Check? Or is somebody answering a phone at Crime Check?
Why I was hoping to have Shrek here.
Is that a Shrek question?
That's a long story
It's-
for another day.
It is a little bit of a long story. I can give you a little bit. So if you call Crime Check and they determine that you really need a police response right now, that gets transferred to SPD dispatch and handled just like a 911 call. So if you need immediate response, if you need a report, it goes through a different workflow.
Okay. Do they know there's a lot of complaints out there?
I don't know. I was hoping to ask him.
When I called them, they said, "Oh, you live in the city of Spokane? Yeah, we're not going to help you." So,
Okay.
Next month.
Anything else? Hearing, seeing none? Okay, thank you so much, Sean. I
Sorry.
really appreciate
Quickly, Council President, did you want to ask about the Mach-E's at all, or is that coming later?
Mach-E's. Are we buying more?
Major McNabb, Councilmember Bingle and I are scheming to make you busier. We have seen you driving a sweet ride, and we're hoping that not today, but another public safety meeting, you could have a little show and tell with us. And,
Yeah, I could get it down here.
Yeah, no, we'll meet you out there. But if you could like wear your tactical gear and show us, and
Yes.
maybe drive some of us around a little bit.
Sure, I
we would love to, because I'm assuming you're still enjoying it, because you're still.
I am driving it, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So is that something that we could drive to?
I don't know the answer to that.
Not
I'd have
me
to-
personally, I would
put it in
not
next
be
year's
a good
budget.
candidate for driving.
But we could be driven.
But we
I
could
could
be
drive
drivers,
you.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I'd want to bring one down we have one with a computer mount in it.
Okay.
And I drove my bosses around who were groaning a bit at the space issues.
Okay.
But, I'm not beating up on electric cars. That groaning
Yeah.
issue, that space issue could happen in another gas-powered sedan, but it is kind of a tight fit in there.
Yeah. No, I think it'd be good because we're scheming about take-home electric vehicles, and then that solves the hot bunking issue with charging because they're being charged at home instead of. So we're,
Yeah.
we're looking into that.
Lots of stuff to report on that,
Yeah.
sure.
Okay. Thanks.
Are you forfeiture?
Yes.
All
Well,
right.
Chief's going to start it out. I'm here as backup,
Okay.
or vice versa.
Councilmember Kinnear really does want to drive the Mach-E, so I was saying maybe we could do it at the academy or some
We can make that work.
safe place.
Did you get your driver's license reinstated yet, or is that may create an issue?
Nobody told me I had to do that.
Okay, I'm not sure what the questions are related to.
I don't know. I have you down as forfeiture.
I have the question for you. This is just a follow-up. We had a long discussion about forfeitures and team intervention programs, and at the end of the year, we had heard a lot from you that you want to make sure that you have a certain core reserve for forfeitures of 2 years for drug buys, informants, and undercover vehicles. And then we made I think a good agreement at the end of the year to switch the youth programs to the cannabis if it's over. I think we got 460 was in the budget last year. If things are above that, that can go to the youth programs. So we wouldn't be going to the forfeiture. But I just wanted to tie that up with an ordinance on both of those. And I wanted to get super clear on the number that you want to keep in your reserve so that I don't just go off my memory on that.
Sure, absolutely. So just for clarity, we would prefer that money stay with SPD. And I'm sure this ad nauseum, I understand with the council that there is so much need that we have within the department for equipment, training, vehicles, et cetera. So we prefer that money stay as it has traditionally stayed for SPD to pay for all these different gaps.
And that's the plan here. So
Okay.
I'm just trying to get the number for the reserve so that we can support you in exactly what you've been doing.
Okay, and then Major McNabb has some numbers here for us. One of the things we did notice last year, just received an update on this morning as well, is is with the Blake decision, we are seeing those seizures go down. I believe last year was $90,000 in state seizures.
That's right.
So we are following that to see if that trend continues to diminish the amount that's coming in seizures as well. But because that money is inconsistent and it varies year to year, and we're seeing this downward trend that just started, of course, we'll have to monitor that. Ideally, we would like to ensure that we have 2 years worth of typical operating expenses. That's money for informants, drug buys, equipment, vehicles, training, some of the training as well. And Major McNabb has those numbers for you as well.
So whatever happened to the overhead projector? I mean, am I dating myself? Yeah, sorry. So we had, in your email, Council President, you talked about vehicle money and buy money, pretty much as counting those as a reserve. But in the budget that you guys gave us this year, there's other line items. There's minor equipment. There's legal services, registration and schooling, all these things. And when I thought about confining our reserve to a specific purpose, I said, well, this drug world as we know it is kind of a moving target. I got a briefing just the other day where maybe someday, years down the road, we won't be relying on CI funds anymore. We'll be maybe looking at something like cryptocurrency and training and software and all the infrastructure support for that. So I'm not sure that saying, should we set a reserve at X amount based on this is going to be the right solution at this time. So,
Well, the only reason that I was revisiting it is that's how it was presented last year. It was
Understood.
undercover vehicles, CI, drug buys, that we, at a core, we had to have 2 years worth of that because we thought things were unpredictable. So that's what I'm not saying it couldn't be spent on other things, and I'm not talking about council coming in and doing it. I'm really talking about supporting your efforts, because what I heard from you is that people from your department come to you all the time and say, we want it for this, we want it for that, and you were saying, no, these are the core things that we need it for now. Let's make sure we have 2 years reserve in uncertain times. So it's really to support that effort. So that's what I'm trying to get, that kind of, boy, we got to spend it for this. If we have more money, we can spend it on those other things, but that's what I'm looking for.
yeah, I understand what you're saying. And I think probably the challenge is what is that number and how do we define it? It's such a moving target. I don't, different incomes throughout the year, different expenditures. And like I said, I think that the way we spend that money is going to change over time.
Well, you all were very certain about it not only a few months ago. So that's all I'm really trying to do is, maybe I'll ask it. What did you tell us a few months ago about what those numbers should be? That's my question.
Try to remember what I did yesterday, but Chief, can you help me out here? I remember we had that conversation. We had a meeting and we talked about having double the amount, basically a 2-year reserve of what we had before. So if I was to take what we got from council this year, that came just with state money, that comes to $235,000.
That's lower than what, I was in that meeting. And I remember
So that's just 1 year.
That's 1 year.
Okay.
So double that, 560. 570, just like I said.
Okay, that got bigger.
Huh?
That got bigger.
Yeah, and so if I could, let me just editorialize just a little bit too. So, and I'll break it down for you. So $5,000 in legal services fees, that's pretty typical every single year. Registration and schooling that we use to support investigations. We've seen obviously a huge attrition, and the detectives have felt that as well. So we put $50,000 for registration and schooling. And then confidential funds is going to be about $120,000 each year. And then for vehicles, we have $60,000. Now, $60,000 used to be 3 vehicles, but with the cost of vehicles now, that's closer to 2 vehicles as well. So if you look at the legal fees, registration, schooling, confidential funds, and vehicles for 1 year, that comes to $235,000. One of the things where Major McNabb was indicating it's kind of a moving target is, again, for registration and schooling, we get way more requests than we can provide for our detectives. Everything from a lot of the crime we're seeing now is occurring on Backpage. It's occurring with cryptocurrency. But then we also have traditional investigative schools that we need to send our officers to. Confidential funds, that's $120,000. We typically will go through all of that in one single year. And then the vehicles are going to be the moving target as well. But when you're looking at the numbers that we have here, we may need 2 vehicles one year, we may need 4. But in terms of the other costs, schooling is also going up, travel is going up, hotels are going up. So that $50,000 still doesn't get us to everything that we're requested to send officers to, but it allows us to get the core classes. But the core classes are good for the basics, but then there's that advanced training that we would like to send our officers to as well. We're woefully inadequate in some areas just because of training and staffing. So this will hopefully help move us in that direction.
I guess, and maybe I'm just not communicating it very well, because I'm not talking about setting aside an amount and then council's going to spend your money on something else. I'm talking about the situation. You've given me the number now. It's, I think, $360 for 2 years for confidential informants and vehicles. But I think the challenge is if we don't have enough money and there's not enough to pay for the licensing and the schooling and the stuff like that, are you still in the world where the confidential informant, drug buys, and undercover vehicles are the top priorities? That's what, I guess, really, that's my question. If you had to cut something,
Yes.
just because, not from us cutting it, but you had to cut because you just didn't have it, would you want to preserve those before you paid for those other things?
Yes, and then we would have to look at other units within the department to send some of our folks to schooling and staffing.
Okay.
I guess
All right.
got
Chief.
one thing to add, Council President. My boss has a way better memory than I do. So he was saying when we were talking about setting a reserve amount and we were talking about the priorities of the forfeiture funds being used for programs outside the police department, and then all these other things, schooling, legal services kind of fell off. What is our core need to actually function at the bare minimum? And that was confidential funds and vehicles. And I think that's how we came up with that lower number, Councilwoman Kinnear, of I think it was like, I don't know, 200-ish, something like that.
It was
per year.
300.
It was 300
Yeah,
per year.
and that's, I think, what Council President is getting to, so that there's always that, not that we're going to spend it, but there's always that amount in there that you rely on for your core function.
Right.
And the other stuff is at your discretion, but you always have this 300, whatever amount you decide, in that reserved for just those core functions.
Right, but now that we're not considering using that money for, let's say, youth programs,
Right.
then I think maybe we can look at this differently to where we're not having to just distill this down into the very core things that we can barely function on, is to look at the other things that are necessary to further and expand drug enforcement investigations like the state law says.
So we have Bingle and then Wilkerson.
Councilmember Bingle seated to me, so thank you, Councilmember Bingle. I just want to follow up on that, on the CI. I just struggle with what type of metrics do you use to measure that program to its total effectiveness? I didn't see the amount change for that, 120, maybe it will go up. But help me understand, how do you know if that program is effective or not effective, or if you actually need more money for that? I'm trying to get some type of correlation of the informants and what we should expect in seizure of drugs or people off the street. So what are your metrics that you use to evaluate that particular program?
Cause and effect. So we're basically looking at what it is, like Lieutenant Booth said earlier, what it costs to buy a pill a year ago and what it costs to buy a pill now. But then the size of the investigations we're doing now, we're making much larger purchases. So again, another moving a target where we're saying fentanyl, counterfeit Oxycontin pills are coming into the community at an accelerated rate. Overdoses are through the roof. So how are we going to find the source? And that is our goal when we use these confidential funds, is to make buys and try to get further and further up the supply chain till we can get the biggest fish in the city.
And I get cause and effect. I guess I'm just a numbers person trying to get some type of hard data. And you don't have to tell me all the particulars, but
Yeah.
fentanyl's less today than what it was, even though there's more. So $120,000, how does that really correlate, how that has impacted our community when we tell our citizens with these funds, this is the impact we have made. We have now taken this much drugs off
Right.
the streets. Just help me make the connect. Help me make that bridge from $120,000 to
Yeah.
this number of how our community is better because of it. And yes, it's cause and effect. I know it's better. But help me understand, could you tell me how much better are we to that? So
can I
you can
rephrase
come
your
back
que-
with data.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I rephrase your
alternatively,
question?
how much
So-
worse would it be? if
Or
we
how
hadn't-
much worse would it be? Yeah.
Yeah, so I just want to rephrase so I understand. So you're saying what effect is using CI funds having on the drug problem in our community? And I don't know how to quantify that with any great deal of accuracy, other than to say we are taking thousands and thousands of pills off the street. We are putting drug dealers in jail. We are escalating these investigations to the federal level, and we are trying to stop it at the source.
Can I just real fast, just to put a bug in here, could Shauna run a report that would look at cases that utilized CI dollars to actually investigate and close the case, and then we could kind of see how many cases and the outcomes, and is that feasible? Something like that?
Some of these investigations go on for a very long time, and sometimes they get transferred to the feds from us, and it's a co-investigation.
So it gets pretty complicated.
So it does get a bit complicated. I don't know, I will find the answer for you. I don't know today.
And so,
You weren't going to talk.
no, I was. I said mine goes into the next one, but I want to piggyback on what you're saying now, which is, for us, maybe quantifying that is like, 2 years ago, we took 1,000 fentanyl pills off, in our CI buys. This year, we took 20,000 off. Show us how, the money is effectively being used, the more and more that we're giving you. Or maybe it is, a couple of years ago, we were able to arrest some low-level offenders. This year, we were able to arrest, a big-time dealer. Something like that, I think, would help us to quantify those dollars being used effectively. And I don't know if those are, again, when you're using your tactics and things like that, if that's stuff we necessarily want to make public, but at least for us, maybe we could get an executive session rundown or something. I don't know exactly how it would work, but just,
Help me understand.
It's maybe a 3-year look back
Yeah.
at how we've used our CI funds, how much we've used, and then maybe correlate those to some investigative results.
So could
Last
I
question.
ask?
Yes.
I think for me, I'd like to know, are we in a better place right now for the work that we've been doing for the last 3, 5, whatever years? So is drug use up? Are sales up? So all the work that we're doing, has it been effective? And however you measure that. So if we have a worse problem, then how do we change course or do something differently so that we're making more of an impact? Or if the problem is abating, then we can look to this and say, okay, as you said, we've taken so many people off the street, and that therefore fewer drugs on the street, fewer overdoses, et cetera, et cetera. But I'd like to see a correlation between the efforts that we're making and the downturn in drug use and/or drug sales. I don't know that drug use is the right word, but drug sales, and I feel like you take one person off the street and there are 5 others lined up right behind that person to take their place because
our
it's
tail.
part of it's a business. And so are we really dismantling that business so that it's not impacting our community, or are we just, pedaling, trying to keep up?
Yeah.
would-
Real quick, I'm sorry, Councilman. One thing I do want to point out, and I got caught up in this as well when I first came over to investigations, is that these things are not in silos. And like Lieutenant Booth said, there is so much intersection between the gun violence and the drug trade and the property crimes and the gun violence. They're all working together, and including the gangs. And so if you stop enforcing drug crimes, then we're going to stop pulling guns. I'm not saying you're suggesting that.
I would never suggest that.
No, I'm not saying you're suggesting that, but if we stopped that pressure on those people in our community, then we would see the gun violence increase. We would see the property crime increase, because when we arrest a property thief, we're also arresting maybe a drug dealer, and we're also arresting somebody who's unlawfully possessing a firearm, who could later on in life, later on in the week, later on in the day, due to drugs, make a poor decision and cause violence in our community. So it's just all interconnected.
I was just going to say that because I just wrote some notes from the Violent Crimes Task Force.
Pull your mic.
I was just looking at my notes from the Violent Crimes Task Force report, and there were quite a few drug-involved arrests. In those 50 arrests, there were quite a few drug-related arrests in that. So, I mean, I think we could get an idea. There were, I don't know if you want to tell us, you had one section where you talked about drugs and how much was, what do I want to say, seized. I don't have my drug language down.
And we, just so everybody knows, we're like overtime, big time, so we've got like 1 more minute.
Yeah, because there was something in my brain that told me there was quite a bit of drugs that,
Yes,
yeah.
they've seized several pounds of cocaine, several pounds of methamphetamine, and a substantial number of fentanyl lace pills.
Yeah,
Yep.
okay.
Okay, Zapone, we got to move on.
It will be so quick. I have a lot of confusion. I took my students to go study about opioids, and we heard different prices from the health district. Says it's like $8 to $10. You say it's like $2 per pill. There's just confusion around that. But I think something that you can later follow up on that might be helpful too is like if you buy drugs off of someone, does that lead to an arrest on that individual? If you buy 1,000 pills from a dealer, don't answer it now, but we can circle back on that.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Thank you guys very, very much. Cannabis?
Yeah. So this is really just for council. You might recall in the budget, we did say, all right, we're not going to try to use forfeiture money, even though it's allowed to be used for youth education intervention. And at Councilmember Stratton's and Kinnear's suggestion, we're getting way more cannabis revenue sharing than we used to, and more than we budgeted for police or anyone else. And so the idea was to use those excess revenues for a program, but we don't currently have a program. So I wanted to find out from people. We did, we took a vote at one point. We had 4 council members. We needed 5 for a special budget ordinance, so it was 4 to have kind of an alternative system that led by people that had been drug or gang involved, leading people not to be in that world, and looking to community-based organizations to submit proposals on that. But before we go down that road, I'm just soliciting.
Yeah, and I think we talked about doing a pilot so that we could measure it and finding out who are the folks that could actually do a program for us, that measure that program. As you said, do an RFP and get something going so that we can look at it and say, yes, this worked, this was horrible, or these people really didn't know what they were doing. But right now, we're not doing anything. We need something.
And that's what the money was for, right? I mean, that's what
It was for education.
right. So there's some revenues out there that we can use for it.
Yeah, I think we should do the RFP, keep it as flexible as we can, and either existing, like I'm a big fan of DARE, or some hybrid of other, best practices, but some version of that. But I would also just request that SPD, consider submitting a response to that RFP as well, because I do think that they would have a really good position to do that. So that'd be my suggestion.
I'm just going down the line here. You were
So quickly on this, I think, we're all in agreement with getting this program up and going. I think where we may disagree is on the funding source. Not that this money isn't used for that, but this is money that SPD currently uses for its current operations.
We're not.
It's not. It's
Not the cannabis money.
they're staying funded at their same level. It's not taking away.
So we're
It's only the
currently getting
excess.
cannabis money that they're using currently, right? $500,000-ish right in there. So the increase that you're talking about is at the $120,000 plus to be able to fully fund this.
Well, it's whatever it was last year was 100. We penciled in last year. It was budgeted 460 for
Right.
police. We collected 666.
Right.
So there's at least $120,000.
Totally. And that's the thing for me, is that anything SPD is currently relying on, allow them
that-
to
that
continue
doesn't
to use
impact
that.
Stays. But the other piece is the state has been very clear on this money is supposed to go to education. And we know that Northern Idaho is really funding the cannabis industry, so let's take advantage of the money that's coming in and use it for a good purpose.
Yeah, and I'm not disagreeing with any of that. My whole thought is that the funding source, so long as it's not taking away from
No.
money
It's
that
not.
SPD is currently using,
No.
I'm good with it.
They're funding level would be stable. Councilmember-
I was just going to comment, I had spoken to a group who was doing drug intervention with young people, and they're out there just on their own doing good work. I think what I would like to see in the RFP is, I don't specifically need the police to do the program, but I think there should be some type of partnership there going forward. So I don't need officers running their whole summer camp, but there is a community-based organization
Yep.
that has a program that they've kind of worked with SPD to kind of develop and grow. I think that would be a good partnership for SPD and for the community. So
Yep.
that would be just a component I would like to see in the RFP personally, but I believe there are organizations, well, I know there is at least one that's out there doing this work.
Yeah, I agree with her.
All right. Well, thank you, and Matt Boss and I are going to be working on an ordinance to clean up the forfeiture piece and this piece.
I'll sponsor.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Should probably read it before you agree to do
No,
that. but-
that's why I want to, no, I want to not read it, but I want to have
Okay. Oh,
a
you-
say
you
in
wanna
how
say?
that looks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Council President, did we cover that?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm just looking over
traffic
there to
calming?
make sure, did we get that covered the way you guys understood it? We were going to cover it, Chief? Yes?
He's
Okay.
nodding.
Okay.
Do you want
The court reporter cannot record a nod.
Lots of our faces this morning, Good afternoon. Good afternoon, council members, council president. I'm here to talk about the resolution for moving radar pilot program. And we are looking to use some of the traffic calming funds to put some moving radars as a pilot in probably 10 to 12 patrol cars to help supplement the traffic enforcement within the city of Spokane. And any sorts of questions, concerns, comments,
essentially a radar gun, laser gun type?
these would be the moving radars within a car, so it gets them coming and going both front and back. There's a front-facing antenna and a rear-facing antenna, so it makes every officer that has it in the cars always has that capability of doing that enforcement.
Okay.
So just to be clear, I was one of the people that wanted, when Chief said, we've got this capability, we were going to, it was going to be a pilot and be equal throughout the city. So everybody has a little piece of this. So it's not concentrated in your district or mine, but throughout the city, so we could measure it and see how it's working, and see if it's working.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
basically, what we would try to, just spread the resources, the tools to officers assigned to each of the precincts. Yep.
Great. Any other questions?
I was just going to say, I'm surprised that this doesn't already happen. I thought that this was a part of the regular policing. We can chat more about that, but I was
It's a
operating.
different system.
Okay.
It's a tool, like our motor units have it, but right now our motor units, when they were in the traffic unit, their motorcycles had it, but now they're assigned to patrol. And we are trying to put that tool in the hands of more patrol officers, since we don't have officers dedicated to do solely traffic enforcement all the time. We're trying to make it so more officers are aware of the ability and have the capability to do that traffic enforcement.
Okay. Sounds good.
Real quick, just to confirm, because this has not gone through traffic calming subcommittee yet, I think it's okay if it doesn't, if one of the two of you wants to
No, it
sponsor
needs to go to traffic calm.
It does?
Still, yeah,
Okay.
Because we haven't looked at it yet.
I think we have a meeting coming up, so we'll look at it.
Okay.
Okay.
So is that a meeting that you need an officer for, or is that just something? Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Steve? And if you can consolidate. Same for Dave Steele, you're next, and if you can consolidate, that'd be great.
Yeah, good afternoon, Chair and members of the council. Yeah, I was going to ask you, my presentation is closer to 10 minutes than 5, but I am on the agenda for...
Should we reschedule?
Well, I'd like to just say the initial piece of what it is that I'll be coming back at the advance agenda next Monday, and then I can do the full presentation then.
That sounds good.
All right, great. So we have a request before you for $75,000 from the ARPA dollars that you approved back in December, $150,000 allotment for broadband and fiber. And those will fund a consultant that will work in a really critical time, that is between now and May, when a plan is due from the county broadband action team, and we're participating in that. But we want to ensure that the consultant work with us to get our priorities into that plan, so that goes forward. We get our share for the city as a part of the county plan. And again, that plan will be submitted in May. And at the advance next Monday, I can give you some of the slides that I think will kind of help show what our strategy is and why it makes sense.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Dave?
Good afternoon, council members. You guys got a full docket today, don't
Yes.
you? The surplus property piece that I brought forward, this is a resolution to surplus a piece of property that was inadvertently deeded to the city as part of a land use action a couple of years ago. It was shortly after that the developer came back and went, whoops, we recorded the wrong thing, and now you have a 15-foot wide strip that's 700 feet long owned by the city. So what we did at the Real Estate Review Committee was looked at that piece of property and went, okay, he can't develop his property without this piece. So the recommendation that came out of the work that's before you, that we will come back next Monday, we can show maps and those kind of things, is we would like to declare it surplus, and then the action would then say we intend to deed it back to the adjoining property owner who gave it to us by mistake. And then we would just be done with it, so.
And does City Legal doesn't think that's public gifting?
No, because it was, it was literally a typo, an errant, on theirs. They don't have a problem with it, so.
Great.
Anything else?
And there'd be no cost to that?
No.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, Matt, if you want to come up, Integris resolution.
Yep, this is not necessarily for the Integris contract itself. This is just declaring the emergency to circumvent the normal procurement process, the public bidding process. Just saying that we're under a tight timeline due to the feasibility. The reason that this is done, the mayor has done one previously. The reason that this is done is because this is outside the original scope that the mayor had declared the emergency for.
And specifically, this, the emergency resolution is to expand the current contract.
Exactly, yeah. Expand the current contract. It just uses some of the data that they've used before to evaluate if there's a potential fit for other departments within that space.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? No? Okay.
Question.
Yes.
So what would be the new contract, or would we know the new scope?
The
It's
new
a
scope.
special consideration.
Yep, it's in special consideration tonight, so that you'll have you have the contract in tonight's agenda. There's a request to suspend the rules, so it has the additional add to it.
Okay, anything else? Hearing none? Okay. Our last item is the community conversation update from the council president.
Yeah, so I just wanted to report in to you. We had things fell apart quite a bit last week, which is covered in the media pretty well. I wanted just a few things to say about that, since we had a ground rule that everyone who joined agreed not to talk too much about it while it was going on, but everyone agreed once the conversation was over, they could. I commend to you, if you haven't read the Range article, that's probably the most complete, except it left out one pretty big thing, which was there were extensive negotiations with community groups before we went into that process, and who would be on it, and who would be the facilitators. And so there was some language in it kind of saying, oh, nobody had any input, it was just a big surprise. And that is not accurate based on my recollection, and I had a lot to do. So I wanted to say that. But I wanted to give you two observations that I had, and then kind of where the go forward is. In terms of in the observations on things, on why things didn't work as well. So there are really two things that went on. One was the very first session was about a whole day, and people were there, and people were quite vulnerable with each other across the spectrum of people. And it was really a broad spectrum of people. There was 3 people from police leadership. There were several community members who you wouldn't think are aligned one way or the other, and then there were several community reform advocates, especially from communities of color, that were there. But people really shared their stories and perspectives and their histories. And it was very powerful for me to be in there and hear again, the whole spectrum of people. And there was kind of an agreement on some ground rules and things like that. But in the subsequent meetings, some people couldn't attend, and the facilitators allowed proxies to come, again, in good faith, trying to make it work. But in hindsight, I don't think that was that effective, because they weren't part of the original thing. They didn't understand necessarily the ground rules of the way. And the friction seemed to be people who weren't at that first one. And it was on both sides. Police people came and advocates came. So that was one thing, I think. If I was to do it again, I would not have proxies, because it wasn't really meant to be like a voting political power kind of exercise. It was supposed to be a bonding, coming together. And so if people came and went, that didn't work. The second thing that I was really surprised by, and I think it's worth considering, is I was surprised by, as powerful as everyone was in that room and is, and if you meet them out there, you go, these are powerful people. People did have a lot of fragility of their life experience and traumas that they had had. And again, police, advocates, myself, everyone in the room, we shared that. And so I think we underestimated that would really, there's a lot of nerves that could be touched on inadvertently by people from different perspectives. And that just, what it really meant was going to take a lot longer to really get any kind of rapprochement with that group of people. And one other sort of factual thing that I wanted, it's clear in the article, but there were 4 meetings over a year. It wasn't 3 years. There was a year's worth of meetings. And we could have, had 4 or 5 more meetings before we could have gotten to a place, I think, where everyone in that room went, okay, I get it, let's move forward together. But that didn't work out. We did accomplish the main agenda, which was we took the 17 or so proposals that were posted in June of 2020 on our website, and the administration and police and I massaged them and formatted them a little bit differently. And frankly, the administration and police agreed on a lot of them in draft form. And the work were, the agendas for all 4 sessions were around going through those and getting the input from people from all their perspectives. And that we accomplished that. And then at our last meeting that we were able to hold, we did a color dot exercise to try to figure out what were people's feelings in the room. And there was surprising amount of agreement on just about all of them. And we circulated that. You should have that in my statement is out there. And my goal going forward is to take those and operationalize. Some of them are budget, some of them are more resolution/policy, some of them could be ordinances. And again, most of them pretty straightforward. Some of them have already been accomplished by the department, some have been accomplished at the state level. And then there's a little basket of mostly around tactics that are the most controversial, and those, I don't know how those will turn out. But anyway, that's the next step. So I just wanted to report on that and then take any questions. Yeah.
Well, I guess I think I've been very frustrated by this entire process, and I don't think that's a secret. Effectively, all these meetings were in a back room. Not all of council was invited. And now we're building policy off of what was shared in a meeting or meetings that 4 or 5 or 6 of us weren't allowed to be in. And so I don't know how to support or even deal with policy based on sort of these conversations that I have no basis of understanding, wasn't there, didn't hear the stories, don't know what the concerns are, what the problems are that they're trying to solve. And then out of all of that, there was a document released that says that there is majority support for a series of items. We've never voted. How can there be majority support? I mean, they might be okay.
The majority of the people in the conversation.
Okay, but the way I took it was that majority of councils is sort of saying that these are the items we're okay with.
No.
And then one of the items in there, which I 1,000% agree with, but it's still in that document, talks about open bargaining for, contract negotiations. Well, the courts have thrown that out, and they did that a couple of months ago. And so I don't know how current that document is either. And so anyway, I'm just really frustrated that we might be looking at ordinances, policies, investments based on secret conversations many of us weren't allowed to be in.
Yeah, so just to be clear, so that document was from 2020, and it was a document that was meant, but the people in the community conversation didn't give their input on it until 2021, and then it's just now being, under our agreement was we weren't going to release it. So in terms of the conversation, it wasn't meant to decide what the city council would do. There's nothing binding on the city council. It's just feedback from a group of police and community members who wrestled with it. And the idea and the hope, and it didn't work out that well. So I'm not here to really defend it. We thought it would. The idea was kind of outside the political process, a group of people to just weigh in on it. It's a bit of a focus group, essentially, is what it was meant to be. And then the idea always was then it has to go to the entire community and the entire council. So what I'm trying to say is, okay, the focus group is over, and now it's out there, and council will do whatever it does, and there'll have to be broader community engagement. That was the topic of our last meeting, supposed to be of how can we do broad community engagement, and we didn't get to that.
Okay. Well, I know if we're seeing stuff coming forward that we have to consider, I mean, I feel like it's going to have, for me, I'm not speaking for anybody else, sort of a recreation of the landlord-tenant stuff, because again, not in the meetings, not able to hear the problems, not being there to hear directly. So now we got to go back out, recreate public meetings, and go through that whole process again, just so I can even feel informed enough to make these decisions. It's like, let's just open these things up, not be secretive, let's have these conversations. I think the landlord-tenant stuff has shown that people can be vulnerable in these settings and share information to the benefit of the other groups that are in the room. And so, that might not be universally true 100% for every single person, but I think we can get good input to make good policy in that sort of setting. So that's my takeaway.
Yep, and that is fair. We were again, all those things were posted on our website. We briefed them at committee, and the administration requested at the time, that we do this focus group approach, and I took them up on it. I thought there was some promise to it. Again, all right, didn't work so well. So here we are, feedback that we got. So
we've got 2 minutes.
I would just make the quick suggestion, anything when we're talking about policing policy obviously affects the entire city. I think the public meeting on, what's going on, where everybody's wanting to be, what are the issues that we have with the police, what are the issues that we have in the city. I think it's important enough to make it to where we notice it and we allow, all the council members to be there if they want to be.
Anything else? I do need to find a sponsor for the surplus property, if there is anybody willing. I'm one.
I'll go with you.
Okay, thank you. Is that the only one that we needed a sponsor?
Yeah, so council members Cathcart and Wilkerson?
Yeah.
Perfect.
And if there is nothing else for the good of the order? Oh,
No, I was going to pound.
we're adjourned. Okay.
That's right.